The White House orders a more aggressive review of Smithsonian Museum's holdings, which has exopolitical implications. We also have serious exopolitical implications with President Trump federalizing the Washington, D.C. police and liberating the nation's capital. Congresswoman Anna Luna shares some of her personal conclusions regarding her investigations into UFOs. The US Congress is having difficulties in scheduling whistleblowers to testify in SCIF facilities or hearings on UFOs. These stories and more on Exopolitics Today, the Week in Review.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Welcome to the August 16 edition of Exopolitics Today, the Week in Review. Today actually is the day where I hold the monthly briefing. So this Week in Review will be a lot shorter than I normally do them. And the stories that I'm going to cover in the monthly briefing, I will just reference those and suggest that you watch the monthly briefing. So the monthly briefing is on today at 3 p.m. East Coast time, 12 p.m. West Coast time. So that is something that you can register for if you haven't already through the description where I will have the link to that. So I am looking forward to seeing you there. So let's begin by looking at some of the stories that I covered in this week in my Exopolitics Today X feed. So I want to begin with this message from a YouTube channel called Mspiracy. And I thought it was a very succinct summary of what it is that is wrong when you give your power away to external forces. You know, whether we're talking the Anunnaki, the gods, extraterrestrial federations, etc., as opposed to finding the source of information, that source that helps you determine right and wrong, good and bad, that is within. So let me play just the first minute or so. Let me play the first minute of Mspiracy talking about her take on how the Anunnaki and the gods established their worldview upon humanity.
We're going back to the beginning, not the biblical one, not the Sumerian one, the one they erased from the grid. Before there was Genesis, before there were gods with names, there was Source, untamed, unowned, unwritten, a realm of pure frequency of light not yet caged. This was Eden before Eden, not a garden but a dimension, a state of soul, and someone came to sever it. The Anunnaki didn't create us, they modified what was already sacred. Like parasites, they took what was living and coded it with control. The Sumerian tablets, they're not a holy origin story, they're a record of the hijack. Enki didn't birth humanity, he hacked it. They paint Enki as the liberator and Enlil as the tyrant, but both wore masks. One gave knowledge, but it came with genetic seals. One enforced obedience through weather, war, and bloodline laws. The good cop, bad cop of the gods, and humanity was the hostage. The Garden of Eden story isn't a romantic origin, it's a metaphysical prison. The serpent, the tree.
All right, well, there you get an idea of where Mspiracy gives her take on the gods, on the Anunnaki, and I think it's very compelling. I think it's actually very accurate that the gods, the Anunnaki, Enlil and Enki really were playing these roles of good cop, bad cop, and that it wasn't that the Anunnaki created humanity so that we could work the minds and so forth, and kind of like genetically upgraded us from primitive hominids that had been tinkered with previously, that they came in and they really kind of like co-opted or hacked, as she says, the humans at the time who were very evolved. And so what really happened with the Anunnaki intervention 300, 400,000 years ago was not the creation of the human race to support or work alongside the Anunnaki, but it was an invasion, a takeover of an already highly evolved human race that was probably possessing 12-strand DNA that people talk about, and people were connected with and familiar with the energies of nature and the earth and so forth. All right, well, here's something that people really do enjoy. I start every week now on my X feed with some extraterrestrial humor. So here is what I chose to play this week. So I'll play the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, and that way we can enjoy and get a good laugh. Okay, so here we go.
We are so in here. Just don't say anything to ruin it.
When do I ever, man? I'm the puller.
Right. So, it'll take a week.
6.4 Earth days.
Oh, we can't wait, can we?
Our planet will amaze you. You will experience true and eternal bliss.
And our women will adore you. We hope adoration does not offend you.
Please, eat.
It looks great.
Yeah, do you have any meat?
Sorry, we don't know this word.
Meat? Like beef? Cow?
The animal?
Yeah.
Why would you want a cow?
Well, to eat it.
Is this normal on Earth?
You don't eat animals, do you?
You mean it's not just cows?
How many animals do you eat?
Well, quite a lot.
But they're dead, though. You understand? We don't eat live animals.
Oh, no.
We don't eat live animals.
I see. So when animals die on Earth, you eat their flesh.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But we're fine. Honestly, it's not a big deal.
Well, they're dead because we killed them, though.
You mean you kill them to eat them?
Okay, yeah. So when you say it like that, it sounds bad. Granted, but but
You wait until they're almost dead.
almost dead. Exactly.
So how old would a cow be before you kill it to eat it?
Oh,
Like a year,
And how long would a cow live normally?
like 20 years?
How is that almost dead?
if the farm's near an abattoir.
Do you eat each other?
Okay, all right. Well, you get the idea. The whole thing goes for about 5 minutes. So definitely, if you're interested in watching the whole thing or haven't yet seen it, then the link is in my Twitter feed. Definitely a good laugh. Okay, so here's a very important story. I did an interview with George Cavassalis, and he shared some really startling information about 3i Atlas and what it is. This will be something that I go into detail on in my monthly briefing later today. So to get the full story, you can tune in to the monthly briefing later. And there is a interview here with George Cavassalis. And so let me move on now. Okay, so here is something that I thought was very, very interesting. This is a channeled message from the GFL station, and this addresses why the whales have stopped singing, and this is a very important issue. And once again, I will be discussing it in my monthly briefing, and there is a peer-reviewed study on this. So this is something we really need to pay attention to, because the whales play a very big role in supporting the global energy grid. But again, the link to the story is on my Twitter feed, and if you want to learn more, then just join the monthly briefing later today. Right, well, here is something that I think is, again, all right, so here is something that, once again, is going to be covered in the monthly briefing, so I'm not going to talk about it very much at all here, other than to say when Donald Trump declared that he is federalizing law enforcement in Washington, D.C., and that this was Liberation Day in D.C., that has a lot of exopolitical implications behind it, that there is stuff happening behind the scenes. So if you want to learn about that, then the monthly briefing, or again, there's the link here where you can see a story I did on this. Okay, so JP shares some of his experiences in a medbed that healed some of his injuries acquired during his covert service. He describes how medbeds use electromagnetic frequencies to heal injured areas and impacts the water molecules in the body to induce healing. And he also describes something that I think is very important, that one's blood is analyzed and treated as part of the medbed process. So this seems to be very similar to what is known and is growing in popularity, which is PRP therapy, where one's own blood is extracted, treated through a centrifuge, and then reinserted. And because of the way in which the centrifuge works in enhancing plasma and separating red and white blood cells, that really accelerates the healing process. So I thought that was very interesting that medbeds utilize this PRP process and also use electromagnetic frequencies. And he also discussed when the White Hats plan to release different types of medbeds. So I thought that was a very interesting update from JP. You can see it on his YouTube channel. He's just simply titled it Medbeds. So that is something well worth taking a look at. All right, again, another story I'm going to be diving into more detail during my monthly briefing. And this is the White House ordering a more aggressive review of Smithsonian Museum's holdings and displays. So the Smithsonian has been very much involved in covering up our ancient history, giants, evidence of advanced technologies, Egyptians visiting the Americas. So I will be diving into some of that literature during the monthly briefing. Now, I did an interview on Redacted where I discussed the exopolitical implications of President Trump federalizing Washington, D.C. police and liberating the nation's capital. So this goes for roughly 15 minutes, and there really is a lot to unpack here when it comes to what really is going on behind the scenes. You're told one thing publicly, Trump federalizing the police in DC to deal with crime and poverty and so forth and homelessness, but there's a lot more happening behind the scenes, and that involves the kind of like underground power bastions in Washington, D.C., the bases and so forth that have been built there over decades. Okay, so JP did another story. So he's starting to post more on his YouTube channel. And here on his YouTube channel, he talks about space arcs, Ukrainian arcs in Russian control, and he talks about some of the other space arcs. that that have been discovered and are being used in various ways, and what their functions are, how they differ from one another in terms of core functions. So very helpful information if you've been following JP on the space arcs, that he does this. So and his channel, you can find that on YouTube, the link below to the in the description. Okay, so here is something that was released. This is an interview I did with Alex Collier back in December of 2023, where we talked about what JP described in terms of Nordics taking over the space arcs. And Alex expressed his concerns and raised a very disturbing possibility that some of these Nordics had their own agenda, and that raised a lot of questions about JP being used by a negative faction of Nordic extraterrestrials. So this was something at the time that I really wasn't in full agreement with that at the time, but since then I've got more information, and I think these, let's just call them synthetic Nordics, that they are a very serious issue, and they need to be understood that not all human-looking extraterrestrials are benign, benevolent, here to help us. Some of them have an agenda that they work with other groups, or perhaps they have their own superiority complex and are striking off in their own vein. So just because you have an organization like the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which has all these different human-looking races in there, doesn't mean that they all share the same agenda. Some of them have their own. So that interview is now finally available. Here is a story concerning Congressman Anna Luna, sharing some of her own personal conclusions. Once again, this is something I will discuss in more detail in my monthly briefing, because there's a trend here of more and more members of the US Congress opening up, sharing their views that extraterrestrials are real, and that this needs to be brought into political discussions and policy making much more aggressively than has been happening. And also some of this stuff has been happening in places like Eglin Air Force Base, which is very significant because that's where JP served for much of his 4 years in the US Army. He was based at Eglin, and Eglin is where Congresswoman Luna says that they saw some of these UFO-related, or they were aware of UFO-related projects there, but they weren't allowed to see them, and they were denied access. Here's a story about the US Congress having difficulties in scheduling whistleblowers to testify in sensitive compartment information facilities. So Congressman Eric Burleson, he says that there was a kind of a disagreement, shall we say, between Congresswoman Luna and the whistleblower Lou Elizondo about how a session at a skiff facility had to be suddenly cancelled, and Elizondo had traveled to Washington, D.C., paying for himself, and then he's told at the last minute that, well, this meeting is not going to happen after all, and thanks for coming, but we're not doing this. And so he took exception to that. Representative Luna had her own view on what had happened, and so Congressman Burleson is stepping in, trying to sort out the tension here, because it seems that the US Congress, if they schedule a hearing or they have whistleblowers come out to Washington, D.C. to attend a skiff briefing, the whistleblowers have to look after themselves in terms of travel and accommodation expenses, and that's for people who are living on the edge. That's a tough thing. All right, so here is a trailer concerning the exopolitics certificate or diploma, and that begins on September 1st. There are 6 courses being offered, and so what I'm going to do for you is play the trailer. It goes for about 2 minutes, so I'll play the whole thing for you, and that will introduce you to the exopolitics courses being offered for fall of 2025. And so these are all these courses are taught within the Exopolitics Institute. This is actually the 20th anniversary of the Exopolitics Institute. It was created in 2025. I'm still on the board of directors for it. I'm the founder of the Exopolitics Institute, and it's been sponsoring courses and diplomas and certificates. So now you can earn an exopolitics certificate and a diploma through the Exopolitics Institute. So you can just go to the website, exopoliticsinstitute.org, or click the link in the description. Okay, so here's some compelling evidence that the collective consciousness of humanity is getting ready for extraterrestrial disclosure. So this is a news story you can find on phys.org, and there have been some studies done about the number of news articles and scientific speculation concerning extraterrestrial life, and these are peaking. And so what this suggests to me, and to any rational observer, is that the collective consciousness of humanity is starting to prepare for extraterrestrial disclosure, that humanity is being saturated with stories about extraterrestrials. More and more scientists are discussing the implications of extraterrestrial life. And this, I think, is very much heralding that we are on this cusp of some major disclosures concerning extraterrestrial life. Now, how close are we? I think we are very, very close to get the answers to that. Once again, if you do my monthly briefing, which is going to be held later on today, to do the monthly briefing, there are two ways to register. One is by becoming a Patreon subscriber, and that involves you joining at the second tier level. The first tier level gives you ad-free access and early access to all of my interviews. That's the first tier, a planetary patron. If you then join the second tier, then you get to attend all of my monthly briefings for free, and you also get discounts for the webinar panels that I do every couple of months or so. So I hope to see you at my monthly briefing later today. The description is in the links to this, so that the link is in the description to this story, to this week in review, and hopefully I see you there. So thank you for watching, and aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.